Hey, what's up, gang? It's Adam and from the CommanderSmith, and it is Commander Spotlight. Man, it feels like forever since I've done a Spotlight deck. I think I was talking to my wife. I think it's been like 3 months because I think I was getting a deck ready for the next in real life gameplay, and then I got COVID, and so then I don't think I've made a deck. Well, I know I haven't made since Braids, and I think Braids was like November. So this is my first deck in a while. You know, you had holidays and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so hey, what's up, Scooty? So today, so the thing about me with decks is like, I don't like to just build deck. Like Lowry's really good at doing that. Like he's good at doing the mechanic or building decks and just going one after another. Hey, what's up, Josh? So a deck has to, I just don't want to just build it. You know, I want a deck to kind of speak to me a little bit. And so Urtet, the only reason I started with this one was like, it's a 5-color deck. I haven't built a 5-color deck since Dragon, not the newer one, which is still like a few years old at this point. Hey, what's up, Renshai? But this, I haven't, it's the old Dragon where you could search through your library, put your dragon in the graveyard, and it becomes a copy of that. So I haven't built a 5-color deck since then. So this is what kind of stuck out to me with this one. I was like, okay, here's a 5-color. There's some interesting stuff because the mirrors, a lot of the mirrors, you know, the mono tap and mono rock ones, you can use that in this. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then I was like, well, everybody's going to do mirrors, you know, the same way, where it's going to be like a bunch of mirrors, you're casting mirrors, get mirrors, overrun, kill everybody, you know, Crater of Behemoth, whatever. As I started gathering cards, drunk deck building. I'm not actually drinking tonight. I am having a nice little beverage here. I am very tired because 2 snow days in a row and having the kids home and all that stuff. Sorry if you guys were wanting to see last night. I was just exhausted. I'm still exhausted today, but I have a lot more energy because my wife kind of took over because her work was canceled. Long story longer. Anyways, back to the deck. So I started gathering cards. And as you can see down here, look at this. 236. Now this includes lands. So I do have the, whoa, let's get that out of there. I do have all the lands included. It isn't necessarily, hey, Ted, I didn't see you on there too. Hey, thanks for joining, buddy. I do have the lands included. I don't know if it's the final of how I had the lands, but I wanted those in there. So I knew I was trying to get down to 100. So the interesting thing is, I was getting my drink to drink. Hang on. So there's a couple of things. As I was building it, I was like, you know what? I have my Atraxa deck, which I probably haven't played for 5 years, because when I started going through it, I'm like, oh, there's a tutor. So I was like, well, that's obvious. I haven't played that since we've started the podcast, and it needed to be destroyed. The one thing about Atraxa, which it's a good card, it's great for super friends, but you don't get the red commanders or red planeswalkers. And so I was like, well, this is an opportunity to, the reason I figured that the planeswalkers would work in this is there is a lot of cards that, you know, proliferate is going to help because you're going to add, your mirrors have the counters on them, but then you can also hit your planeswalkers. But at the same time, your mirrors can be your blockers. If you're trying to protect your planeswalkers, the mirrors can be your blockers because they do untap at the beginning of your combat, that you can untap each mirror you control, and you can leave them for blockers. So you don't need to necessarily attack until the time is right. You pump them up, you do the 5 colors, put 3 counters on all of them, untap them, then they're a lot bigger, and you're using them as mono rocks. So that was the other thing. The mirrors you can use as your mana, so you can get your planeswalkers out, the crazy combo stuff or whatever out a lot easier. So I thought this might be a good opportunity to get this deck, a good planeswalker deck built, a super friends deck. And so basically what this first video is going to be, and I'm guaranteeing this is a 2-part video because there is, well, it's minus the 60 some cards, or the 36 cards. I have 100 cards to cut. So it might be a little different this time where I'm cutting cards as we're going. Normally I go through the whole list and kind of show you, hey, this could work, this might not work. But in this, if I find something, I'm just like, hey, this isn't going to fit with my theme, I'm just going to cut it right there. Because a lot of this I gathered before I made the change over to Planeswalkers. And really, since Planeswalkers, I added in all the Planeswalkers, and then I added in the synergies for Planeswalkers. I kind of went through my Atraxa deck back here, grabbed some stuff there, and then kind of looked at, okay, what other synergies am I missing that since I built that deck for Planeswalkers. So that's where I'm at. We're going to get started with this. So I'm just going to kind of go through it. I've organized them pretty good for my categories. As you can see in the left-hand corner, which is right here, that is, I probably won't be referencing it today because I don't need to get down to these numbers, but that is the cards that we, the Kill Him tokens, and then on the back side we have the deck building. So I will be referencing this, but it'll be probably on the next video. And I want to complete this in 2 videos. So I'm going to try to get, you know, I guess my goal today, maybe get half cut. So maybe 50 cards cut off of this. Maybe. We'll see. But it all depends on how long it takes me to get through this. I mean, I'm already at a 7-minute intro of just telling you what this deck's going to be about. So, okay, let's get started. We know Urtet, what it does. It's a nice, sweet 5-drop commander. Artifact 3 for a 2/2 whenever you cast a Myr spell. So this, yes, I know everybody knows you can do the changeling stuff too. So there are some changelings in here. So you could really go tribal with it if you really wanted to. Because every time you cast a Myr spell, you get a 1/1 Myr artifact creature token. Beginning your combat on your turn, untap each Myr you control, or you can tap 5, or I should say also, you can tap 5 Wooburg. So white, blue, black, red, green, tap it. Put 3 1/1 counters on each Myr you control, activate only on your turn. It also includes this. So this gets to a 5/5 if you have the 5 colors out there. Just right away. So that's pretty sweet. And the Myrs that you put out, the 1/1s turn into 4/4s. So that's kind of nice too. So, okay. I don't normally like to start with Day of Dragons, but this is just how Moxfield did it. Again, if you guys want, you can check out I will have the deck list after I'm done with the video. I haven't posted this yet, so you can kind of see what I'm cutting and all that stuff, where I'm at with things. So I'm just going to go down the list of what I have because I'm going to kind of explain all that stuff there too. Okay. Akroma's Will is, this becomes more and more of a game. Day of Dragons, by that I mean it's the game ender. That's what we mean by Day of Dragons. So this, I've won games almost every time I played this card. I shouldn't say I won it on with the Akroma's Will, but it either gets me back in the game and leads me to the win, or just it's just a really good card. Like, if you don't have this, and the prices have been going up because I've almost sold out of all my Akroma's Wills at this point. Consuming when you were starting at 230, cutting a lot more time consuming when you started. Yes, it is a lot more when you start at 236. And that part of the reason was because I was going a different direction at first. I was doing that what everybody's doing direction, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And then I switched it up. So there's gonna be cards to cut here. So, anyways, Akroma's Will. If your commander's out, you could choose both of these. So creatures get flying, vigilance, double strike until end of turn, or creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, protection from colors. So it's a protection spell. It's a game ender. It's everything you want it to be. It's only a 4-drop for something that does something pretty incredible. Teferi's protection. Nice. Okay. Intruder Alarm. So this I kind of was thinking, and I don't know if this is going to stay in there or not, because it is a bit of a combo-ish piece in this. So it's whenever a creature comes into play, untap all creatures. So here's the thing. You tap your 5. You put your... Or no, let me back that up. Well, you can. Tap your 5, tap it, put your 1/1 counters on everything. You cast a Myr, right? The copy, the Myr spell, create a... Whenever you cast a Myr spell. So the token's going to hit first. So the token hits... Untap all those Myr. Tap the 5 again. It includes this one. And then your other one hits because it's whenever a creature comes into play. So yes, so that the timing of it is you're going to be able to do that twice. Everybody else is going to be able to untap their creatures as well. But you're able to, every time you're casting a Myr, the first token hits, you untap all your stuff, tap, put 3 1/1 counters on everything again. Then the second one hits, untap everything, do it again, cast another creature, cast another Myr. And so this is why I kind of consider it's not infinite, it is a finite ending to this unless you have some other trickery that there is. But this can really do some pretty good work getting your mirrors up really quick, like within a turn. All of a sudden you're, let's say you cast 2 mirror spells, right? You're activating this 4 times. So 3, 6, 9, 12, everything gets 12 plus 12. That could be a game ender. So that's why I kind of put that in here. Simic Ascendancy. So this is just, if you're putting a bunch of 1/1 counters on it, this is just another way that you can win. I don't know if that'll stay in there. I mean, it's pretty, I don't want to win that way. There's some, I think I might've taken out some of the other dragons, the Hellkite Tyrant, because it's playing a lot of artifacts. But now that I switched to Planeswalkers, I kind of got rid of that, I think. So we'll see when we get there. So there's just a good alternate win con, especially if you're putting, you know, if you have 3 mirrors out there, you do Urtet's skill. So that includes Urtet. So you're getting 3, 6, 9, 12. This gets 12 counters on it by just activating this once. So, yeah, Magical Christmas. Yeah, I know. Intruder Alarm. But this is a good card. That is a very good card for what this deck is doing. Okay. Direct damage stuff. So this is kind of an interesting one. Alibu, Ancient Witness. So other artifact creatures you control have haste. So it's cool because you get your mirrors out and then they can immediately attack. But whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control attack, this deals X damage to any target, and you scry X, where X is the number of tapped artifacts you control. So that would include your lands. So it would include your mono rocks, include your mirror, include this potentially. But then you're able to peg out something that maybe is going to be blocking it. It does say to any target, so you could hit a player with that as well. I got to get the music down just a little bit. It's a little loud in my ear there. So this seems like a pretty cool card in this. You're playing a lot of mirrors. You just attack with one thing. If you've tapped them out to, you know, activate Urtet's ability, you really just need to attack with the 1, and you're dealing the X damage with everything that's tapped. So pretty sweet there. All would be 1. I need to get this card. I don't have it yet, but I feel like this is going to be really good in this deck. Whenever you put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, all will be 1 deals that much damage to target opponent, creature, or opponent, creature, and opponent controls, or planeswalker and opponent controls. So I believe, yeah, all counters, yes, on a target permanent player. So this works with planeswalkers as well. So you're placing 1 or more counters on it. You're able to do damage. You're doing that with the 1/1 counter or the +1/+1 counters. This seems like a really good fit for this kind of deck because you're getting it from both angles on that. Then we got your kind of Perforos engines here. We got this one that's dealing damage whenever an artifact, 1 or more artifacts enter the battlefield. Do that to each opponent. Again, 2 to each opponent whenever a creature, and 1 whenever an artifact. So I like the not picking on people thing. Whenever I do stuff, like my mill deck is normally a everybody mill. I don't like to just single out people because I hate doing that, you know. I mean, it works if you're somebody's too strong. You want to nail one person down first, but I like the surround damage abilities. I don't know if these will stay in here as much because is it going to do enough damage? Perforos, yes, that's 2 damage. These guys, yeah, maybe. Is there enough going on? There might be. We'll see. Okay. As you can see, Atraxa is in here. Yes, Atraxa is in here, even though it's not my Atraxa deck, but it's a good card to have in here because you're proliferating. You're adding counters at the end of your turn. That just seems fantastic. There's no explanation there. You know, you're adding 1/1 counters. It's just it's a great commander. It's why it's $55 right now for the cheapest version. All right, and then we got Brago. Brago is going to be kind of interesting because you could do your Planeswalkers can flicker. I don't know if this one will work necessarily as much as I'd like it to because if I choose my Myr, maybe I choose this guy to do it so he flickers. Maybe I could tap him and then flicker him and do it again. So that was kind of my thought originally with Brago. But it could be interesting in here because you could use your Planeswalker abilities in your main phase, flicker them with Brago. You do the minus ability, flicker them with Brago, or one's maybe really low or something like that. Bring it back, has more counters, and then you do it again because it has been exiled and then it comes back. So it's just like a new creature, basically, or new Planeswalker, so you can activate its ability again. Then we got all the doublers here. There's going to be a lot of them. So we got Branching Evolution. So some of these are going to get cut down the line Broker's Ascendancy, that's from the new Capenna. Beginning your instant, put a 1/1 counter on each creature control and a loyalty. So it's hitting your Myr and your Planeswalker. So this is kind of nice with that for only a 3-drop. I don't know if it's strong enough. You know, it's just little by little increments for 3. I don't know if I like that as much. But we'll see. Cathar's Crusade. You're playing your Myr. They're getting huge. I know it's an annoying card, but it fits in a deck that's like this. You're getting counters. You're putting counters on stuff. That and Feldar Retreat. This one's different because it's a landfall activation. And then you're putting 1/1 counters, and they gain vigilance. So I like this one better than this one. Not in what's actually better. I like this one better in this deck scenario because then I can attack with those Myr and then still use their ability to pump them up. Let me make sure on something. Activate only during your turn. So the cool thing is, if they had vigilance, let's say, and we attack with all the Myr, including Urtet, they're untapped. They choose their blockers, then you tap and do the +3 1/1 counters. So the vigilance helps a lot. I like vigilance in this deck a lot, but I don't think I have a ton of that in here. Corpsejack Menace. Okay, that's the same thing as our branching and all this stuff. So we're just kind of doubling our tokens. Actually, our 1/1 counters. Deep Glow Skate. That's going to be awesome in this because you can potentially ultimate your Planeswalkers and your Myrs can get that much bigger. So that's great in this. Doubling Season. Duh, that's going in there. Elish Norn. We're going to double trigger. So we're doing Urtet. So we also have, there's Panharmonicon, right next to each other there. So we're doubling our triggers and eliminating our opponent's triggers or their ETB effects. So this is an auto include in this. Evolution Sage. So we're getting our landfall and then we are proliferating. Very nice. I got a little back itch. And then we got Hardened Scales, same thing. So there's a lot of repetitive stuff in here. These are some of the things I'm going to have to narrow down. This is for sure going to be in here because playing Planeswalkers and then you add these. Proliferate is the 0 and extra turns, sure. And then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, which includes Planeswalkers, choose a counter on target permanent, put an additional counter on that card. So Planeswalkers, the 1/1 counters. This card's so good. Like, we're going to see this played a lot, and I'm hoping that it helps Planeswalkers get more play. Because I want people to play more Planeswalkers. Because I feel like we skip it, and I do the same thing. Planeswalkers are almost like my last thing after I'm done with, like, gathering all the information I want. And I'm like, well, let me look through my Planeswalker binder. And I go through, I'm like, oh, there's some skills in here that I want to use. Oh, I can get some removal with this, or I can use this. You know, if you think of it that way, that at the very least, you're getting their minus ability before it gets killed. And if that is like destroying an artifact or enchantment, there's a little bit of your spot removal built in on a Planeswalker. And if they don't kill it, then you can use the other stuff along with it. If you have enough defense and all that, then you can utilize the other abilities. All right, so then we have, if one or more counters, we put on a creature or Planeswalker, so we're adding more of that. First time I've ever been able to mess with this guy, but gets 1/1 for each counter on it. And if it's a Planeswalker, it can turn into a creature, so equip Planeswalkers 1. So this one would be interesting. But also, just with the Myrs, whatever I attach, when I attach this to a Myr, it already has the counters on it. So it's going to double, basically, almost double its power besides its base with all that. So I think this one's going to be really good in here. Is it good enough where is it just too singular is my only concern. So we'll see with that. All right, we talked about Panharmonicon. Primal Vigor is the same, similar stuff that we talked about, doubling season and all that. Rings of Bright Hearth. So this is just whenever you activate an ability, so we can activate our Urtet ability, do it twice. The faster you do that, the better. Little protection with Saheeli. No, it's not Saheeli. It's why did I do that? Shalai, right? Voice of Plenty. Where's my kid? Can't even read. That's the next one. Next button. There we go.
One, kid can't even read. Two.
I should know this one because Lowry always plays this, and everybody. I have it maybe in one deck, but this is perfect. Your Planeswalkers, you and your other creatures have hexproof, And then you're adding 1/1 counters. So this is awesome there. We already talked about this is just some things get multiple categories. A lot of these will be in the next one, the token doublers. Thank you very much. Solidarity of Heroes. So we're going to be doubling 1/1 tokens. Steel Overseer. Yeah. Is that going to be good enough for this? Is that going to be good enough for this? I like it at instant speed. That's my only bit there. But you're choosing any number of target creatures, double the number of 1/1 counters. Is that going to be strong enough? We got to start cutting stuff. So we're going to remove. We're going to get rid of Steel Overseer because we're going to depend on our Myr or Urtet to be dishing out the 1/1 counters. Vorinclex, the nice one. No, it's still a mean one. But doubling. So we're doing more stuff there. And more doubling there. Okay, so there's our doubling counters. Now we go to the tokens. So now we're focused on the other side of it is when you're getting your Myrs, you're getting multiples. So we got Adrix and Nev. So we're getting, this has Ward, and then whenever you get tokens, put twice that many. Anointed Procession does the same thing. We already talked about that. Mondrak we did not talk about, but this is also a token doubler. It does the same thing as Anointed, but it's a creature. You can sacrifice 2 other artifacts, so that kind of fits in the theme. I could sacrifice my Myr. Technically, for 1 mana, I pay the 2 life, and then this gets an indestructible counter. So this can protect itself pretty well. We talked about those. We talked about that. And then the last one is the Reflections. Let's see if I can pronounce that. Of Lita Jara. There, I think I got it. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. So we're going to do Myr. Whenever you cast of the chosen type, copy that spell. So, let's back up. We're going to copy this spell. So we're not casting it. Whenever you cast, you will not double this. Whenever you cast. So I am actually going to remove that at this moment because that is not going to do what I want it to do, what I was thinking. Got to think about how everything's worded. That's always the fun part. All right. Now we get into our draw stuff. Draw packages. You can see we should be... Man, this card is really small. Oh, I do have the... That's what she said. Let me pull my picture up so I can see it better there. So my draw package should be 12 to 18. And we've been leaning on the high side because we don't have the tutors in the decks. So, I even have that. The fart noise all ready to go. Okay, so here's a lot of the draw stuff. So we have this dude comes in, draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter. That seems pretty good. I mean, ideally, even if you have like two creatures, 3 or 2 other creatures and Urtet, you're drawing 3 cards off of this drop, and you're holding this for a draw spell. I think that's pretty decent. Benny Brax, love me some Benny Brax. He goes in a lot. Any of my token decks that Convoke is super awesome in this. Black Market Connections. If you do not have a Black Market Connections, get one because it is a fantastic card. Every black deck I have made since this card has come out, this card is in there because you're getting ramp for 1 life. You're getting drawing for 2 life. And in this, I'm getting a Myr. It's a changeling. So I'm getting a 3/2 for if I want to pay 3 life. So this is just a really good card in general because a lot of times I don't use that 3/2 part, but in this deck I might because it's a little bit more tribal. Breed for the Hunt. So this is out of the Warhammer set. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. So we're dealing damage. We're drawing cards. That's pretty nice to have out there. It's synergizing with this deck really well. Esper's Sentinel. Is it good enough? I mean, Esper Sentinel's really good. But if it... Yeah, don't play tutors. You ass. Sorry, I didn't mean that. This one I'm like borderline thinking of cutting. It fits with the artifact theme, but it's like I might have enough draw with other things. Well, let's go through that. But I'm not cutting it now. This is just, it's a really good draw spell. Idol of Oblivion. So I'm making tokens, and then I draw a card. Pretty easy. Cast a Myr, tap it, draw a card. Pretty nice. Inspiring Call. Not only am I protecting my creatures, but then I also get to draw a card for each. So similar to this one, but this one's better because it's instant speed. So actually, we're going to at least sideboard that one. Let's get one out of there. This is pretty nice. Joria, because it's historic spells. So you're talking artifacts, legendaries, which count planeswalkers, sagas, which will be Urza's Saga. They're all historic. So you're drawing every time you're casting these. So this is awesome in this deck. Kindred Discovery. Magda. Yeah. Magda. So you choose a creature type. So we're doing Myrs in this. Whenever a creature you control the chosen type enters the battlefield, draw a card. So chosen type. So that's the nice thing. This is why that one's staying there, because this is potentially a 2-drawer. It's not a cast trigger. It's on entering. So you choose Myr, your copy of the token hits, draw, and the one that you cast, as long as it doesn't get countered, draw. You're at least getting one. Like if it gets countered, you're still getting the one from the token hitting the battlefield. This dude does a similar thing, it's a token doubler with this guy. Whenever one or more tokens enters the battlefield, not doubler, you draw a card. So we're doing similar things to here and here. So this is why Esper might not make it, because it isn't fitting with the synergy of this necessarily. So we'll see. Mystic Forge. So we're dealing with a lot of artifacts at the moment. We have 58. Can you guys see that there? Yeah, you can. 58. That's definitely going to go down, but we have a lot of artifacts. So this could definitely be played in this deck for drawing pretty easily, or not necessarily drawing, but you're casting off the top of your library. Mystic Remora. I'm going to have a lot of mana potentially in this deck, and this one I like better than this one, because the paying 4 is a lot more, and I think I can do the Colluminative Upkeep a lot easier. There is no upkeep here, but late game, Esper doesn't really do much anymore, and I believe it's only first spell. So as long as they pass their first non-creature spell, so if they pay the 1, because I'm not going to pump him, he doesn't get the benefit. It'd be nice if Urtet said artifact creatures, but then that'd be a whole different ball game. Better words, Slivers. Josh, you're evil, just straight evil. Okay, Path to Discovery. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it explores. So that includes that token that comes in as well. So all you're doing is revealing the top card of your library. If that card is a land, you put it in your hand. Otherwise, put a 1/1 counter on that creature, and then you put that either into your back on top or into the graveyard. So it's a good way to kind of rummage through your stuff there. Rhystic Study, yeah. I mean, cast a spell. So this is different than that, because this is only on their first non-creature spell. This is every spell. You get to be the annoying Rhystic Study. I mean, it has to be in there. Rumor Gatherer. God, Lowry pointed this one out, and I liked it when he pointed it out, and ever since then, I've been building white decks all over the place, white and red, and this is in them. So whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, scry 1. So the token hits, you're scrying. Second time, which is your Myr, draw. So scry, draw. Then everything after that, I believe it's draw or scry after. If this is the second time this ability is resolved, draw. So then you go back to scrying after your first initial. But your one Myr spell is a scry and a draw. That's pretty sweet, as long as Urtet's out, obviously. Psy Master Thopterus. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a Thopter token. So, 2 things with this one. One, with Myrs, they don't have a flying, obviously. So this is potentially, and remember, we're having Planeswalkers, so we need some things to make sure that we can block. This is giving me that opportunity to have the 1/1 flying blockers, and potentially block, sacrifice 2 of them, draw a card. So we have a little bit of draw synergy with it. I like it. It's still, that one's almost more borderline for me, because it's still, you're making Thopters. It's not Myr. Yes. Would you rather annoy the table? Yes. Have them deal with the problem of the annoyance than me tutoring. All right. This is a new one. The Brothers War. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, again, it's not cast, which is nice. Look at the top of your library. If it's a land card, you may reveal it, put it in your hand. If you don't put that card in your hand, you may put it in your graveyard. So it's very similar to our Explore, except you don't get the 1+1 counter benefit. So we have some repeating synergy here. Sensei's top, yes, it needs to be there, along with Sylvan Library. Here's a fun one. I love this card. Shimmer Dragon. As long as you control 4 more artifacts, which is a very high possibility. It has hexproof. And then you tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, draw a card. Hey. So this is where I started when I started building this deck, was what cards can I get in here that are tap artifacts or creature abilities, so that I can do that in the main phase. So in the main phase, let's say I have 5 Myr out. I go, all right, I'll tap 4 of them, draw 2 cards. Beginning of my combat, they all untap. Even if I'm not using the 1+1 counter ability, I'm drawing. You know, you're benefiting off of some other tap abilities. There'll be some more coming up here in a little bit because I did keep those in. So this I really like in here because of the tap synergy. And then you go around, you say go. It comes to about to be your turn again. Whatever artifacts you have untapped, tap them and draw a card. It's pretty fantastic. Sylvan Library, great. Great henge, fantastic. You're not getting the non-token stuff, but you are getting the +1 counters on the Myrs that you get and drawing a card off of that. So that's really nice. And then we got at the beginning of your upkeep. Okay, so whenever one or more artifact creatures deal combat damage. So this is similar to the other ones that whenever tokens deal damage. No, this is Battlefield. Where's the damage? That one. They deal damage. You draw cards. Similar to Toski, whenever a creature deals combat damage, draw a card. So we have a couple of those in here for draw, but they'll be cut down. I just don't know what yet at this point. Vanquisher's Banner. Anything the table. Annoying the table is amusing. Playing Slivers is a win for everyone. No, it is not. It is Slivers. It's evil. Josh. Oh, I don't ever want to see that Sliver deck, but I do. Okay, so whenever you cast a creature spell of the chosen type, draw a card. So you're only getting 1 off of that. I think I'm going to pop this one off because you're not getting a double bonus from the... I think we have enough on here. Whenever you play an artifact spell, draw a card. Okay, so I just got rid of the other one. Whenever you play, so this is going to be, I think Erratatex is cast. Can somebody check that really quick? Make sure that our errata is, whenever you play an artifact spell, is actually, they change it to whenever you cast. I think that's what it is. This one might be a maybe. I'm going to sideboard it at this point. We got a lot of draw in there. A lot of good draw in here. There's some things I might mess with. Okay. We got some evasion. So whenever creatures you control with 1/1 counters on them can't be blocked. Sweet. This could almost be a game winner. I will add that to a tag here. Day of Dragons, because that could be a game winner. You play that, you save this until, you know, they have creatures out and you go, boop. All right, you can't block and you are dead. Kappa Cannoneer. I do not own this one. I don't know if so it would get 2 counters if you're casting a Myr. It does have the improvise, so it can be all the way down to 1 mana. I might like this still in here, and I think that's why I didn't cut it later in the game. But I do have to buy this one. It's not that expensive at this point. I mean, it's $7, so it's not terrible. We'll keep them there for now. All right, Kodama, the West Tree. So whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage, search your library for basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. So that's pretty cool. And your modified creatures have trample. So you're giving them 1/1 counters. They're modified. So they have trample. And then when they deal damage, you're going to thin out your deck, get ramped up like crazy. And this is only a 3-drop. So I like this one a lot, especially what we're doing here. Another evasion. Tap 2 artifacts you control. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Okay. We got 4 things that kind of... This isn't doing anything to other stuff, so maybe that's why I maybe get rid of this one, and actually we'll just do that. Move that one to the sideboard. These are helping your creatures out to get through and potentially win the game. All right, let's get to the Myr. Look at all these Myr. We got 40 of them. I think what my idea is I want this down to 20. I think I want 20 Myr and 20 Planeswalker. Gets me to 40. So then we're looking at 20-ish other spells. That gets you to 60, a little bit more than that. So I think I want to get this number down to 20 to feel good about things. So we have to have our mana generators. Brass Squire. I don't think I have enough equipment for that one to matter. I have the 1, so we're going to pop him off of there. We're going to keep these guys all on the sideboard just in case I want to dig back into it. Brutaclad, I think it's too much. Yeah, it's giving you a token each turn, but I think 6 I do like the haste part, so that's why I didn't get rid of it right away. And this isn't technically actually a mirror, so you're not getting a benefit from casting them, but beginning your combat on your turn, you will get a 2/1 Phyrexian Myr, and then you can change all your tokens into this. We're going to put this one on the sideboard as well. Chameleon Colossus, protection from black, so and doubling its power, so that includes its tokens, the 1/1 tokens on it. I like that for now and there. Our Copper Myr, Darksteel Myr, yep, that's indestructible, like it. Gold Myr, we got our Flying with Vigilance for a 2-drop, yep. We got Infect, yep. Red, this is one of the, from Modern Horizons 2, yeah, Modern Horizons 2. I don't know if I care about the adapt. If this creature has no counters on it, then it gets a counter. Well, we're going to get counters on it. Whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put on this, it gains double strike. So that's pretty badass in this. This just gains double strike. You go pop, put the 1/1 counters on, or if they don't even block it, then you do Urtet's ability, and then you just clean house with this. This could, I mean, think of that. It's 3 1/1 counters. It's a 5/5 double strike, so you're doing 10 damage with just this guy. Yep, we're keeping that. This guy has trample. You can tap your guys. So that's what I was saying beforehand. Here's another card that does this. You tap your Myr and give this guy 1/1, and then they all untap to utilize the other ability or just attack with just him. So you can pump this guy up like crazy and just use him as your solo attacker. Maskwood Nexus, again, this is a card you should have. I'm glad they keep printing it. Keeps the price down a bit because this is just like a must-have in all tribal decks. Mirrodin Besiege. So this is why I might keep it at 20 or a little bit higher. Is we do have cards sprinkled in here that aren't mirrors. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Sakashima will come in as a copy. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 things that aren't actually mirror. So that's why we might keep it a little bit on the higher side. And maybe we go a little over 20 and maybe go a little bit lower on the Planeswalker side. We'll see when we get there. All right, so whenever you cast an artifact spell, I like this better because you create a Myr artifact creature token. Better than the Scythopterus. I like that the 1/1s or this, doing whenever at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 artifact creature token Thopter. So it is giving you your flying. I like this one better than this one, but I do like the draw that's on this. 1 or more. Ooh, no, I don't like that because it's only 1. If you hit with 15, you only draw 1. So we're getting rid of that. You could do the other one, the Phyrexian part at the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then discard. Then if there are 15 more cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game. If you get this late game and enough stuff is in the graveyard, sure, that could be good. Myr Entity, this is just a fun card because, I mean, it's every creature type, but you can turn your base power and toughness and stuff. And so then they get their 1/1 counters on top of that. Just crazy good. Myr Battlesphere, of course. This is one of the new ones. So it has Toxic 1. You can pay 2 life. So it has a little bit of giving you mana. It's any color, which is nice in the 5-color deck. Another new one. When it enters, you scry 2 and each opponent may scry 1. Yeah. You just tell everybody you're doing them a favor by letting them scry. And they may scry. They don't have to if they don't want to. The Enforcer, I mean, it costs 1 less, which is nice. You don't have to tap down artifacts to do that. So maybe that stays in. Galvanizer, love this because you're untapping each other Myr. You untap your Urtet as well with this one, so you get to use its trigger twice, and it's a Myr, and your Myrs get 1/1. Like, I know this got printed a few times, but why isn't this one going crazy? I mean, it is with foils, kind of. It looks like $6 there, but this is a must-have in the Myr decks. Myr Incubator, that just might be too much, but it could be good for late game, 6 and 6. I just think it's too much, so we're going to get that one to the sideboard. Just removing all your artifacts, and then you get that many Myr. It seems like too much of a risk, to be honest with you. I mean, you would probably go get like 5 or 10 of them, and then you get 10 Myr on the board. I guess that could be good. But 6 and 6, you either got to have 12 that turn, or you're taking a turn off and waiting to do that. So, yeah. When this enters, search your library for a Myr card. Sure, we'll do that. We can go get what Myr we need at that that time, you can even go get a changeling. Myr Matrix, indestructible. All your mirrors get 1/1, and then you're creating Myr. We like those. Shuffle your library for a 1-drop Myr. Sure, we'll get 2 Myrs, and then, you know, if you only have your Sensei's top and you need the library shuffled, this is a good shuffler there. This one's put in a copy of this. So later, you know, you get a couple of these out, you can make a lot of tokens. They're all getting the 1/1 counters. I don't see this one going crazy, but sure, if this is your only option, that's not terrible. The Reservoir, it's a mono rock, but it gives you 2 to activate Myr spells and activate their abilities. It won't help you with Urtet because Urtet is 5 color, or 1 of each color, but does have some recursion with bringing a Myr from your graveyard and put it in your hand. Dig that. Retriever, we're bringing back an artifact, so a little bit of recursion there. Spend only mana produced by creatures. So this could easily get dropped down by just your Myrs bringing this guy into play for 2. Is there enough? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where was my other one? 6. Is there more of them down there? 7, 8, 9. So there's probably enough to actually keep this guy in. 2 for a 5, 6. And then you're doing the counters. Yeah, I think that could stay in there. Then we got our Turbine. Tap 5, untap Myr you control. Search your library for a Myr card, put it into the battlefield, then shuffle. For a tap ability, that's pretty good. And a tap to put a Myr in. I like that a lot. Myr Welder. Exile an artifact card from a graveyard. This gains all activated abilities of all cards exiled with it. For 3, that's pretty interesting. It's not crazy, but whatever. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1 if you do create a colorless Myr. So I dig that more than these creating the Thopters. The only reason I like this is because it's the blocker. But this is for free. This is for 1, but you're getting Myr that will get bigger when you're using Urtet's ability. So I like this better. We're getting mana from this. 2 of them. Dig it. Infect. Mana. Yes. Sakashima. Let's have more Urtets. The more the merrier. Your artifact spells have flash. Blue mana. Spark double. Same thing. But this one can be a planeswalker. So that fits even better. This is actually better than this in this deck, per se. Because you can have this be a planeswalker or be Urtet. And I always love the Mauler because people just cast spells and this dude just gets huge. The only thing he's missing is evasion with a trample or something like that. Like I wish it was like after he has 10 counters, he gains trample. But it's still a big baddie getting counters and you're not even having to do anything. Unsettled Mariner. This is just protection kind of. Whenever you or a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability, counter it unless they pay 1. So if they forget that this guy's out there, it doesn't take backsies, it's countered. So this is counted as a counter spell. This was before they did Ward. So this is kind of like Ward 1 for all your permanents. Permanents? Yeah, all your permanents. So that's also your Planeswalker as well. All right, now we get into some mana fixing here. Mana. Animar. So I shit you not, I really want to keep Animar in and Atraxa. Those are 2 decks that I had built. And I still have Atraxa. I mean, it's getting torn apart to make this. But I want to keep Animar because I tore apart my Animar deck. And this is just, I feel like this is going to be good. Like, because you're playing a lot of artifact creatures. So your creature spells cost 1 less for each 1/1 counter on this. It's only going to get big because you're casting creature spells, but you're casting artifact creature spells. He gets bigger. Your artifacts cost that much less, even if the other creatures you have. I think this is good in this. I think this is a really good add to have in this deck for a 3-drop. It has pro white and black, so it has a little bit of protection built in. I like this one. I think it's going to stay. We'll see. Beginning of each player's pre-combat main phase, if this is untapped, adds 1 for each artifact they control. Keeping it for now because I can see some of the other things I might want to get rid of in here. But this also benefits your opponents as well. So artifact spells you cast have Convoke, so you can tap creatures to cast them. I like that. Makes it easier. Chromatic Lantern, we have to have something like that in here. We got to fix our land because we're playing 5 colors. Kind of, because it's a lot of artifacts, so it might be a lot easier, but I think this is a must-have. Cryptolith, right. So now we're getting back to what I was talking about with tapping. Let's say we have all these mirrors. I mean, the mirrors that are even mono rocks, they will create a 1/1 creature that isn't a mono rock. This is going to help you tap those on your main phase, use Urtet's ability, and then untap them. This is the same as Earthcraft. There's a little fuzzy floating around. Same as Earthcraft, except Earthcraft right here. It untaps a basic land, but you can do that non-summoning sickness. Or it doesn't matter if they have haste. This, they need to not be summoning sickness because you have the tap symbol there. But it is tapping, the creature itself is tapping for the mana instead of untapping a basic. This might have been a staple versus at one point, like early on. Not since we started doing giveaways, but these two are, they have their benefits and their drawbacks. Like this is, you use on the turn they come into play, but it's only basic lands, so that is dependent upon how many basics you get in. In this deck in particular, there is 10 basics because you should always have basics. Even if you're playing a 5-color deck, you can get burned. I'm telling you, I know from experience, Lowry burned me. I believe it might even been my dragon deck, and I didn't have any basics in there, and he destroyed all my non-basics, and I got to search for, I think it was something of Vitriol, that green card that just destroys all non-basics and something else, and then you go search for your basics, and I couldn't go search for land, so I lost. So I highly suggest you have your basics. So anyways, this is handcuffed to what basics you have out, but you can tap the basic, tap your creature, untap that basic, tap another creature. If you're tapping the basic, do it multiple times. So that's really nice there. Cryptolith, you just get any color you want, which is fantastic. Dockside, yeah, we need treasures. Hopefully people are playing with treasures. That's just a must, especially in this. This will help play more lands, but then also it will give your land every basic monotype. We're going to get our artifact spells to cost 1 less. I'm going to get rid of the ones that do this because I think even where we are with our curve right now, where are we? Curve. Where are you, curve? There we are. We're a little high, 3.63. But that's because I haven't cut any of the other planeswalkers and stuff like that. So there's some higher casting stuff. The artifacts themselves are pretty low across the board. But these. So we have 1, 2, 3. Non-artifact spells have improvise. So I like that for your planeswalkers. I'm going to do these as sideboard as well. There's going to be a lot of sideboarding here. These especially... because if I don't feel like after I goldfish it a little bit, if I don't feel like it's running right, it's clunky, I might need to add those back in if I'm just not able to play things the way I'd like to. So back to this. Inspiring Statuary, non-artifact spells you have improvised, so you can tap your artifacts to pay for them. So that's going to help pay for our planeswalkers down here. Pay those spells or anything else. Yes, because it's not permanents, it's just other spells. This is nice because your tokens will have tap to add a green. I feel like that might be too specific. Are we going to have enough tokens to do that? That one's going to be a sideboard guy. We already talked about that. Whenever you tap a creature for mana, add an additional green. That's kind of cool. 8 to add a counter to each creature. That's a lot. Is this going to do it? So you're doubling any of these that you tap for mana. And how many did we figure out? I think I said 10. Let's just double check on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have 9 creatures that give you mana. Is that enough to keep that in? I don't think it is, actually. So that one we'll remove. Mana Reflection, if you tap a permanent for mana, it produces twice that much mana instead. So this also includes your land. So that's a little bit different than what we just got rid of, because this is tapping your mana, counts as double. I like this a little bit better in there. Still might not make the cut, but for right now it is staying in. Mycosynth Golem, affinity for artifacts is costs 1 less for each artifact you have, and then your artifact spells have affinity for artifacts. So if you can get this out, you could just start dumping your your mirrors on the table without having to pay anything. This is a brutal card. I used to play this in my modular deck. It was built on just all artifacts, and get this guy out and it's game over. Oath of Ajani. So your Planeswalker spells cost 1 less to cast. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. I feel like this is too blasé for what I want to do, so we're going to remove that. Old Gnawbone. When your creatures deal damage to a player, create that many treasure tokens. If you're playing green, this should probably be in there, especially if you're creature heavy. And he's a 7/7. This is good. Rishkar. Each creature you control with a counter on it. So now we're getting our 1/1 counters. This is fantastic in this. This is an all-star in this one, because you're doing your Urtet. So even if they are the 1/1 counters that come into play, the 1/1 tokens, I should say, you put the 1/1+1 counters on them, and now you can tap them for mana, for green mana. Love that in there. Smothering Tithe. Yeah, more annoying cards. I mean, that's what happens when you're playing 5 cards. Let me back up a little bit. This is the problem with the 5 cards, is what I had the biggest problem, and we actually might do an episode on this at some point. 5-color decks are so tough because you have everything at your disposal. Like, you could do anything. You aren't held back by anything at all. So it's hard not to go, oh, I'm going to grab all the staples and blah, 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 blah. Smothering Tithe might not make it because it doesn't fit necessarily, but it might make it because you do get the token. It's almost more important than the draw. What I mean by that is this is almost more important than our Esper Sentinel, than our Mystic Remora, because it's a 5-color deck with some heavy hitters in this, some big mana spells. We kind of need this. And it's whenever they draw a card, they may pay 2. This, talking myself back into it, is probably way more important than those draw spells for this deck in particular. So I'm probably not cutting this one. This one's actually probably going to stay. Song of Freyalise. So until your turn creatures you control, it's the same thing as Cryptolith Rite. And then at the end, this is kind of the cool thing. So you get 2 turns of tapping your creatures down for mana. And then on your 3rd turn, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. They gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. So gives you 2 turns, build up your army, and then you swing through. And they have Vigilance, so you can block and all that stuff. You can do... Vigilance is really good for this deck. So this card is going to be fantastic here. Storm the Vault. I didn't want to put it in there, and then just reading it is good, because whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. So you play this and just start attacking, even if it's going to flip that turn. Attack and get some more treasure at the beginning of your end step. If you control 5 or more artifacts, transform it, and then it's as big as tap 1 blue. It's your Tolarian Academy. Is that what I think it is? So you get 1 blue for each artifact you control, or you can tap it for 1 color. So this is just it needs to be in here, especially for very heavy, still at 50 on the artifacts. Urza's Incubator. Creature spells of the chosen, we're gonna get rid of that one. I think it'll go to sideboard. That's our reducing stuff. Urza. God, it's just, again, you're playing 5 colors, so you're getting a lot of douchey cards, douchey stuff here. But Urza, tap an artifact you control, it adds 1 mana. So that's helping you with your the mirrors that come in that aren't tapping ability stuff. You also get a construct, which you can tap for mana. And it does have a search for what is it? Top card. Shuffle your library, then exile the top card of your library until your turn. May play that without paying its mana cost. So most likely, a good chance you're going to hit higher casting costs like Planeswalker. And that's at instant speed. So yeah, this is going to stay in there because I'm dealing with a lot of artifacts. So we have our green tappers, our blue to tap. There's a lot in here that's allowing me to tap down my artifacts to give me mana. So again, remember I was talking about that with Urtet at the beginning. Before you go to your combat, tap down, play something from your hand. They untap. Now you have them as blockers or pumping them up one last time. All right, so protection. Where do we normally have protection? Protection 8 to 12. We are going to probably be on the 12, if not higher side, because your creatures are important. You don't want them to die in this one. They're built on that. Your creatures and your planeswalkers, you need your creatures around so that you can have your planeswalkers sit back and just build and do what they do. And we haven't even gotten to them yet. We've been just building all the other stuff up. We're just kind of showing what the deck is without the planeswalkers. Once we get to the planeswalkers, when shit starts to hit the fan, it's kind of fun. Okay, Aetherize. Return all attack. Lowry loves these two. He's been burned by these two. But this is a way that you tap down with all your Myr, and your planeswalkers are open. It looks like they're gonna get creamed, and then boom, Aetherize. Return them all to their hand. Aether Spouts is just, that one extra mana is so much better because you just, for each attacking creature, they put it either on the top or the bottom. So they're going to draw into them for the next couple turns, or maybe they're just like, screw it, I need to find an answer. So they're all going to the bottom. That they don't go to their hand, go to the bottom. Feels like you have too many themes going on. Yeah, no, this, remember, if I refresh your memory of this, this started with all this going on. Like, I was going a different direction, and then planeswalkers kind of made their way in. So there's a lot of cards to cut. And really what I'm doing is just showing you what potentially could be in an Urtet deck. Right now, everything I've shown you is what a base for an Urtet deck. You could just go down and cut all the planeswalkers out, and this would be a pretty solid Urtet deck. Like right off the bat, I mean, you'd still need to cut quite a few cards, but you'd have a pretty solid base to start working on stuff. So we're gonna do a lot of cutting, but like I said, what are we at for hour? We're at an hour. So I knew it was gonna probably take me almost the entire time to go through what's here and cut a few cards, but the big cutting is gonna be on the second part of this episode, which is it was gonna be that. You know, like when you're over 100 cards cutting to start off, I don't normally do my decks in one cut. I think Braids was even a 2-cutter, even though it was a monocolor deck. So, but okay. So we got these guys. We got a Chroma's Will. We got Boros Charm, so we're protecting our stuff. Cauldron of Souls, you're getting 1/1 counters. So it's almost like a repeating protection, because you give them persist. They come back. You Urtet, take that -1/-1 counter off of it. They die again. If you're able to persist again, then you are continuously protecting your creatures. Could build it in a 5 good. Sure, you could build it in a 5. Yep. Color good stuff away. Yep. Okay. So we got that. We got that. Flawless Maneuver. Let me move over there. So we're getting, I love the free spells. If you have your commander out, you cast this for free. Creatures get indestructible. This one you can just tap 2. All your creatures gain indestructible. But then you can also get some tokens on there as well if you wanted to do that. An instant speed, heroic intervention, indestructible, and hexproof. We already talked about that. This one's interesting. Prevent all combat damage will be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability only triggers once. We need to add this to a draw part. So this has 2 in there. March of Swirling Mist. I think I saw Jacuzzi play this one. This one's been an all-star for me. I really like this card when it came out. You can use it as defensive or offensive. If you want somebody's creatures to be out of the way, you can phase those out. As addition to cast this spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. That's going to be a little more difficult. You're most likely going to do 1 blue, X, get rid of X, Y, and Z, or protect X, Y, and Z, or multiples of your stuff, and they just phase out. This is I love this card a lot. Padim, so your artifacts have hexproof. I guess this could be considered a draw, because at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have an artifact with the highest mana value, you also draw a card, or tied. Semester's End. The only reason this is in there, I don't like exiling your Myr, but it does say planeswalkers as well. So somebody's coming at your planeswalkers, it's all open. You can exile those, and then they come back with an additional counter on them, a 1/1 counter. If it's a planeswalker, an additional loyalty counter. So I like that aspect of that, protecting those. Silk Guard, we already talked about her. Silk Guard, your creatures that are modified, so auras, equipment, and modified creatures gain hexproof until end of turn. So your creatures are going to have 1/1 counters on them. You can give them hexproof, or you can add 1/1 counters to X amount of creatures. Teferi's Protection, of course. And then the Unbreakable Formation. If you cast this during your main phase, put a 1/1 counter on each of your creatures and Vigilance. I like that part. That's why this also got stuck in here. Out of these, I think I need to get rid of, because I'm not worried about the attacking part. So we're going to kind of get rid of these guys for now. Maybe they come back in later, but I feel like those are the two right away that I could see. I feel like Silk Guard, it is fitting with what we're doing in the theme. Attacking artifact creatures you control whenever one or more artifact creatures. So you're going to drop potentially one, and then they're preventing their attack stuff. So I like that too. So we'll keep that there. Recursion. Choose the target artifact in your graveyard. You may cast it this turn. Actually, that could work in there. That could work. All right. Removal. Heliod's Intervention. If I have white, this has been going in there. We don't have a lot of removal at this point yet. We haven't even gotten to the planeswalkers. But again, here's the tap 4 creatures you control, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So remember, tapping those down before your attack phase, they untap. Removing counters to destroy, give something X-X. I like that because it's only a 1-drop, and then it's also a 1 black, and you can take as many X-1/1 counters from any amount of creatures. So it's not just one. You're taking from multiples. All right, then it's weird to have the lands next, but as you can see, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. There's a Saga there. We do have our Yavimaya. We do have our Urborg. So we have our mana fixers a little bit. I just kind of got my base here. I might change it from... Did I do shocks? No, I didn't do shocks. I have the duels. And I think that's it. I think I was thinking I might be all right with that. I may put the triomes in here and kind of get rid of some other things, but we'll see. I gotta play around with it first to see how the mana is. All right, now let's get to the planeswalkers. Oh, we do have sorceries and that stuff. Okay, let's get to the planeswalkers first. Okay, so we have 30 of them. I might cut this down to more around, now I'm like talking it out loud, maybe about 15. So we got half of these to cut, and that'll get us down to 100 cards about. Ajani, the OG. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature control. They gain vigilance. I like that. Gain 2 life. It's basic. I mean, the planeswalkers these days. What is the ultimate? It's as big as your life. Could we get some more colorless decks? I want to see Eldrazi could actually do. You should talk to Guy in the Discord has his Eldrazi deck. Looks like we're getting that precon though. The Eldrazi precon. For now, we're going to keep Ajani in there. Steadfast. Let's see. Is that every creature I put a 1? It's a minus. Yep. Okay. The ultimate ability isn't a game winner, but it's good. Battlefield that has power, toughness. The ultimate just might not be that good. Nope, we're getting rid of him. Ajani Steadfast. Until end of turn, up to 1 target creature gets 1/1. Okay. -2. Each creature gets a 1/1 and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker. That one sticks out a little bit. And what's our ultimate? If a source would deal damage to you or a planeswalker, prevent all but 1. That is good. That is a good ultimate. That's what I'm kind of looking for in this. I want some use out of my 1 to 2 of the plus and minus abilities, and I want my ultimate to do something good. And this one is pretty damn good for that. We hit that. And it's a 4, so if you have your doubling season out, yes, you can hit this right away. Ajani, Mentor of Heroes. What is this? Distribute 3 1/1 counters or up to 3 creatures. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. The gain 100 life. is kind of brutal. Okay, you may reveal an aura, a creature, or a planeswalker from among them. Put it in your hand and put the rest in the bottom of your library. So they're both plus abilities. Put 3/1/1 counters so you can move your counters around. The gaining 100. I mean, you would think that you win the game off of that, but we'll keep them here for now. This one's one of my favorite, and it's gonna stay. I've won the game last weekend with this guy because if you have at least 15 starting life, you can exile this and exile all your opponent's artifacts and creatures. If you aren't a life gaining deck, this is still good if you're playing a creature deck, which is what this deck is. You gain life equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of planeswalkers you control. Yeah, I didn't even realize it was the planeswalkers too. So, yep, that's staying in here. Plus, you can get a cat soldier that will get bigger as you gain life. So, yeah, I like that one in there. And then we have we have two more Ajani in the next one. Gain 1 life for each creature you control. That's a +2. Creatures you control get +2 into weak. That's kind of weak. Put X counters on target creature. We're going to remove that one. That one's kind of bad. All right. The other Ajani. I like this because it's giving your guys vigilance, which is what we want. We want to be able to attack with them without them tapping and then use Urtet's ability. Gain 3 life. The -2 is put a 1/1 counter on each creature and a loyalty counter. Yep. So that's good. So out of these, this guy is my removed. So this doesn't, the ultimate, there is no ultimate because it's a rare one, but I like everything that's happening. It's static ability. The plus is meh, but the -2 is really good. I like that a lot in this. Duretti. Hey, Renshai, you're a little guy right there. So we're going to get some, is it recursion? No, it's ultimate. So you're not going to ultimate, can't one turn ultimate with doubling season or deep glow skate. But we are discarding 2 cards, draw that many cards, sacrifice an artifact if you do, return target artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. So we got a little bit of recursion built in. So this, let's do some things here. We need to change some tags. So we got, we need planeswalkers in there. So we're going to do planes, or just do, no, I'll do that. I was going to say PWs. Planeswalkers. And then we will add in recursion. All right, so we got those 2. And what are we doing? This is going to be planeswalkers. And it can be a Day of Dragons in a way, but it is our counter doubler. And a Day of Dragons. I'm going to add that in there as one of the ultimates that we're trying to hit. Same with this as Ajani. I should have been doing this before. Apologize. We're going to get tokens. It's not doubling tokens. So we're just going to do this one as Day of Dragons and our Planeswalkers. And then this is going to do our token doubler and Planeswalker there. Or counter doubler. Nope, not Day of Dragons. We went Planeswalker and counters. Good. All right, now we're back on track. All right. To ready a part to build Mishra. Oh, nice. Nice. I like that. I can't wait to see that deck. I haven't seen you play that. I've only seen your Duretti at this point. Gain 1 life for each creature control. Create 3/1/1. Destroy all other permanents except for lands and tokens. So this is some removal, especially if you're in trouble and everybody else has big creatures. That's probably an opportunity to get rid of everybody else and keep your tokens, especially if your commander doesn't cost that much to come out. Watley, love Watley, especially in creature decks. Put a loyalty counter on it for each creature you control. You can hit the ultimate so easily in this, and then it's just total gas. You're just drawing. So we're gonna do target creature. We don't care about that. It's your Day of Dragons part, because that one could potentially win you the game there too. Hey, why'd you move down? All right. Each creature control. Hey, we got mana fixing on the Planeswalker. So we're going to do Planeswalker. And where'd my mana go? Mana fixing. Hell yeah. Forgot I had that in there. I knew that when I saw it coming up, I was like, there was a reason I really liked that one. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield on your control, draw a card. That part you're never going to draw. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. But the untapping target permanent, I like. Because there are artifacts that you could untap your permanents. But I liked that I'm putting this on this. So it's allowing you to do your Urtet ability multiple times. So I like that only for that reason. Nicol Bolas. So we have removal. Spot removal. And you know what it is? It is 5, but you're playing all 5 colors. Draw a card. Each opponent exiles a card from his or her hand or permanent they control. It gains all loyalty abilities. Yeah. So we're going to do Planeswalker there and removal. I won't do the draw part to that. And I finally get to play Oko. I feel like a dick. But it's Oko. I think I made a proxy of him, but I've never played him because I haven't played a blue-green deck and I can't remember how long. I haven't made a blue-green deck. So just him cutting the nuts off of any commander is kind of sweet. So I'm excited to play with Oko. Sounds bad. I'm excited to play with the card that everybody really hates. Saheeli. Let's see. What do we got here? Your next spell is cost 1 less for each artifact you control. That's kind of nice. And then this was a good for a commander. I remember playing that. For each artifact you control, create a token that's a copy of that. Those tokens gain haste. Yeah, this seems pretty cool. I'm just going to do this as it'd be a token doubler. We'll do that. Double tokens. Tameo. Choose up to 2 target creatures until your next turn. Whenever those deal damage, you draw a card. Tap up to 2 target permanents they don't control. Okay, what's the ultimate? Draw 3 cards. You get the emblem. Whenever you cast spells from your hand without paying... You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. So you're getting Omniscience ability with that. Okay, are the other 2 good enough to do? Choose up to 2 target creatures until their next turn whenever they... deal damage to a player. Draw. It seems too blah. So I'm going to pop this one out. We'll do that one to a sideboard. Kill the Smith. Hey, I haven't played with these cards. I haven't got to play with them. Oh, wait. Let's do Tameo. Tap target permanent. Doesn't untap. Draw a card for each tapped creature target player controls. That's good draw. What's our ultimate, which we can do in the first turn if possible. No maximum hand size. Whenever a card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, you may return it to your hand. Ultimate's okay, but the drawing a card for each tap creature target player controls is kind of nice. Because of your Myr, you're playing with a lot of creatures. So we're going to do Planeswalker, and that is a draw. I would consider that one of my draw stuff. Teferi, draw a card at the beginning of untap 2 lands, put target non-land permanent into the owner's hand. Okay, so a little bit of removal. Exile permanent. Okay, and this ultimate is a game winner. So this is where things are gonna get when we go back over this later, which won't be tonight. We're gonna get a lot of other things removed because our planeswalkers are fitting those abilities. You know, my recursion or my removal, I can get rid of some of that stuff because I will have that. So I would put this as a removal because it's putting it 3rd from the top. One of my favorite Teferis is just brutal because you activate loyalty abilities of Teferi on everybody's turn. You're drawing, and then you can phase out when they attack. It's really good. It's really good and potential removal in a way. So that one hits 3. That one's a for sure staying in there. This Teferi, let's see. Get the emblem. You may activate loyalty abilities. Planeswalkers you control on any player's turn or anytime you can cast an instant. Let's see. Untap up to 4. Oh, up to 4 target permanents. So the -1, we're getting our Urtet untap, which is nice. Being able to do that multiple times. And then it's plus. It's a 6 drop, but this is a really good Teferi. What is it? Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them in your hand and the other on the bottom. The -1 is probably what you're going to hit. And it has potential to do the ultimate with doubling season. You don't want to bank on that, but I like to look at that to see if that's a possibility if you have one of those cards out. So we are talking about draw. Yeah, I consider that my draw. And then it's game winner. Nah, I wouldn't consider that necessarily game winner. It should, but not necessarily. All right, so then our new Urtet Fury from Brothers War. Whenever you draw a card, put a loyalty counter on this. So 0, draw a card. Minus, so all the minuses. We're not hitting an ultimate. What's its ultimate, though? Target opponent chooses a permanent they control and then return it to turn it to its hand, and they shuffle each non-land permanent. Ugh. But you are targeting one player. What's our minus? -2 vigilance. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Is that one good enough? No Vorinclex for doubling. No, I didn't go that route. The other Vorinclex I do have, the one that I had in Staple Versus. I do not have the other one. I don't know if this Teferi is good enough. I mean, it's a good loyalty counter on it. You're drawing cards. You're choosing target opponent. Target opponent chooses. Well, I'll keep it for right now. It's a draw, and it's a Planeswalker. I like this one. I like this one a lot. It's one of my favorites. We're gonna keep that to just Planeswalker. Yep, just a Planeswalker there. And then slows time, the last Teferi. What do we got? Choose up to one target artifact, up to one target creature, and up to one target land. Untap the chosen permanents you control. Tap target permanents you don't control. So we're getting our untap ability. So instead of using an artifact to untap Urtet, we're doing that with this. It's -2 drawing cards, and then 7 is get the emblem, untap all permanents you control during each opponent's untap step, and you draw a card during each opponent's draw step. That's just silly, and it's a -7. So yeah, I like that one. Douchey Planeswalker, and we're just gonna keep it like that. Well, I would say this is also probably a Day of Dragons one. Are you adding in the new blue mythic from All Will Be One added loyalty? Yep, that was in the beginning. So you probably jumped in a little later. So it is in there. I said that card needs to be in every. I'm hoping they keep doing that with cards, like maybe do a green one and a red one and a whatever. Add in those extra abilities onto the Planeswalkers. Well, if they do more of them like that, hopefully people play the Planeswalkers more. You know, people just, you don't play them as much, and I don't either. It's always, I forget to add them in until later, and I kind of said that earlier, but I would like more cards like that. The nice thing about that card and what you're talking about there, I'll just go back up to it. We'll get back to our Planeswalkers here in a sec. Where are you? 2. Wow, I did sort all these into a lot of categories. I must have missed him. There he is. The nice thing is that you have that first part. Planeswalkers you control have that and blah, blah, blah. But I like that it has the second part of whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent. So they're both useful. So if you don't have Planeswalkers up, but you have creatures with tokens on them, 1/1+1 counters on them, now you're adding more counters to the stuff when you're casting non-creature spells. So I really like that. I hope they kind of continue to do that with different colors. I don't know. It could make them overpowered, but I really, really like that for Planeswalkers. Want a black one? They always ditch black. Yeah. Earliest black Planeswalker. We're strong. Yeah. Yeah. They've kind of stuck with blue as being our big baddies at this point with our Teferis. All right, Tezzeret, untap up to 2 target artifacts. All right, so we're getting more untapped stuff for our, oops, what did I do? What did I click? Is there undo? I clicked the first one, move to sideboard. Okay, I was like, what did I click? I want that one. Get back into the main deck. Let's go back to there. All right, and then the other stuff is not so good. It's more of that untap 2 artifacts. I like that. I guess you can, it does have some tutor ability. Search your library, mana cost X, and put it in the battlefield. So I guess you can go get your Myr. I did it again. It's stupid. Move to main deck. I'm going to do change tags. All right. Let's do it a third time. I will use like tutors that do that where it fits kind of the theme of what you're doing. So I'm going to get my Myrs and put them into play and all that stuff. So that's why I'll use that. Okay. Teferi, Artificer, or Artifice Master. You get a Thopter. No, I said I have I don't have the doubler of the mana Vorinclex. I have the doubler of the token Vorinclex. Yes, I do have that Vorinclex in here. Yes, for sure. Because if you put one or more counters on something, yes. Put twice that many, that's for sure in here. Because then you're removing opponents from doing the similar thing. Okay. Untagged Planeswalkers. Okay, so we're drawing a card. If you control 3 or more artifacts, draw 2 cards. So there's some good draw there. It's -9. You get the emblem at the beginning of your end step. Search your library for a permanent card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. You could hit that. This is giving us that Thopter, artifact creature token with flying. So that might replace that. Damn it, stop hitting the sideboard. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm doing the sideboard thing. Getting towards the end of it, that's why. And we are drawing a card. So we're going to add Planeswalker and draw onto this one. This Tezzeret is my favorite of the Tezzerets. Because we're dealing damage. Creature and Planeswalker spells you cast have affinity for artifacts, so makes it easy to cast. +2. It deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of artifacts you control, and you gain life. This is a powerhouse in this. This is going to be my Day of Dragons, of course. We have Recursion also. Return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. And what's its ultimate? Exile the top 10 cards of your library. Put all artifacts from among them onto the battlefield. I almost think its +2 is better than its ultimate, to be honest with you. We got Recursion. We don't have draw, right? No, let's take that draw off of there. But we do have Recursion, and we have our direct damage. Boom. Yes. So much passes by. Yes, I am getting there. I'm tired. And like I was talking to my wife, I was like, I'm very tired. It's like, I gotta keep my energy up. And then she's like, oh, why don't you start it? And it did. Once I started, I was like, oh yeah. I haven't built a deck in a long time. I'm so excited. Once the deck building comes in, it's the cutting part that I hate doing. Okay. This one I thought is going to be really fun in this. So you may activate abilities of creatures you control as though they had haste. So we can tap our Myrs when they come into play. You can tap your Urtet. Untap one target creature. Just fits perfect with Urtet. So we have a lot of this stuff. I may, between this time and the next time we do the video, I may add an untap tag part, because that is important to be able to do Urtet's ability more than once. I think I'm just going to keep it as a Planeswalker. Untap. Yeah, because we don't have an untap thing in there yet. Ugin. I like this Ugin. So your colorless spell, so that'll help with my artifacts, will be 2 less. But it's kind of like draw in a way, because you get exile the top card face down. When that dies, it's a 2/2 token. But when it dies, leaves the battlefield. It's not even dies. It leaves the battlefield. Put it into your hand. So even if you block with it and it gets killed, or somebody exiles it or whatever, it goes into your hand. So it's a little bit of draw built in on it. And then you destroy a permanent with 1 or more colors. So we have removal built in on that as well. So we have Planeswalker. We have draw and removal all in one on that Ugin. This Ugin might not make it. Exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less that's 1 or more colors. So we are playing with a little bit more colors. So this could hurt us more than help us. 3 damage to any target, and it's an 8. I think we're going to go sideboard on that one for now. And then we have Vraska. Tell your next turn. That one's not good, but we do have destroy target non-land permanents. We do have removal. I'm going to keep it for now to get us a little bit more removal. And then we have the new Vraska. A lot to come out. But draw a card and lose a life, and then proliferate. So you're adding more counters to her and all your other stuff like that. -2 is target creature becomes a treasure artifact. So it's kind of doing the fair Oko, because then they can sacrifice their treasure if you're doing it to their commander and they can use it. Let's see what the 9 is. If target player has fewer than 9 poison counters, they get that number of poison counters. They get 9 poison counters. I don't think this is good enough to have in here. I was thinking if for the target creature becomes a treasure, but for technically 5, is that worth it? I don't think so. We're going to do sideboard. Okay. The Elder Spell. What is that? That's the destroy. What is that one? Whoops. I don't want to do that. Get rid of that. I just want to see which one that is. The Elder. Have you ever seen anybody play with the Elder Spell? Because I haven't. Let's see. Elder Spell. That one move down here. Where did it go? I saw it pop up. It would be untagged stuff. Oh, there's my untapped tap. I do have a category for that. We can get those planeswalkers later. I'll get those mixed in there. Do you guys see the... Oh, there it is. Any number of planeswalkers. Choose a player you control. Put 2 together. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen this played because people don't play with planeswalkers enough, you know? Like, so it's like, sure. What did I get down to with my planeswalkers at this point? 24. So remember I said I want to get down to 15. So this will get whittled down again. I was ideally to hit 200 here. So we might go do a quick removal of stuff in a second, but we'll see. Chandra's Ignition. This seems pretty solid with giving your Myrs a lot of tokens. You can do a lot of damage around the board. This is just a good card, especially in your Voltron decks. But a deck like this, you could probably pick your weakest Myr and then wreak havoc against everything else, or it could potentially win you the game. Cultivate, so we're getting some mono wrap in there. Genesis Wave. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. I think it's just not going to fit there. So we got Kadama's Reach, so we're getting 2 basics. We're going to get basics. We got forest cards, so we can go get our dual land there. Destroy all non-artifact creatures. Like this a lot, so this is our removal. Because most of my creatures will be artifacts, so that's kind of the nice thing there. And it has Improvise. So my artifacts can help pay for that. Improvise. If this was an instant, maybe I would keep it. But I think I have enough draw in here that I don't need to keep this one in there. So we're going to remove that. Rishkar's Expertise. Again, I like the drawing for the power, though. I do like that. We're going to put this in draw for now. Because if my Myrs are getting up there in power. Do we have... I don't have, like, ramp as a tag, so I'm going to add that. Because it's not... Or I could just keep it as my mono fixing at this point for now. I may add a tag for ramp. I'm going to pop these all in there. Just so I have everything kind of a little bit organized. So mono fixing. Normally I call it ramp, and I might change that to say that, or have a separate category. We have 3 visits as well. And then Chandra's, I would actually consider, I put that a lot of times in my Day of Dragons, because that can... I would have won the game this last weekend if Day of Dragons would have resolved, but it... I think Day of Dragons resolved, but my creature was no longer there. It was, what was it? It was, I was playing a Curie, and I had, she was as strong as, as many artifacts you had. So I had Anointed Procession and Parallel Lives out, and then I played Bounties. whatever the one is, it's 1 red and 6 colorless, and you get a treasure token for each land you control. And I ended up getting 38 treasure tokens. And then I played Sahil or Chandra's Ignition, but then they went after, killed my Akiri, and that was it. Okay, reveal the top X cards of your library. May put any number of artifacts with a converted mana cost X or less. Now that we've kind of gone the route of planeswalkers and artifacts, this doesn't work as well. This does destroy all non-artifact creatures, so we are going to keep that as a removal. Save. Thoughtcast, draw 2 cards. I think we have enough draw. I like consistent drawing, or if it's an instant, then I would like that a lot more. Improvise, I like this one better because you can tap your artifacts. So we're utilizing the mirrors, right? Utilizing those, and we're tapping them all down, and you're untapping them at the beginning of your combat step. So tap your 3 blue, which that might be a little hard on a 5-color deck, so that we'll see on that. For now, I'm going to put it in there, but I wish it was also an instant. But you using your artifact, your creatures, to tap down and draw that much more, I like that a lot better than the others, where it's just 2 cards. So we're going to do draw. Feldar Guardian to go with Saheeli. Feldar is the infinite. That's an infinite though, right? So that's what you were talking about, Renchai. I don't want necessarily an infinite in here. Never seen it play. Might play with it. I just caught that you said you might play with the elder whatchamacallit, elder spell now. Clock of Omen. So we're tapping 2 artifacts to untap target artifact. So tap our 2 artifacts, untap. There might be potential. Clock of Omens can be potentially combo-rific. And I don't think it'll go infinite, but I can kind of go crazy with it. So I'm trying to think this through. So we had, let's say we had 7, 5 mana tappers, 2 non-mana tappers. So we could tap the 2, tap the 5 to do Urtet's ability. We untap her. Yeah, see, there isn't really a... If you're casting more Myr to get more Myr, then there's that possibility of untapping a lot. But it's not infinite, at least from what I can see at this point. So I think we're good there. I think we're golden. So I like this because then it's also doing the untap tap. So I'll eventually go back through and get my planeswalkers down here because there's a lot more that fit in here. So again, this is the last little bit here, and I'll probably cut video at this point after we get done with this. Just so I can I went through a lot of cards. All right, so we're tapping our stuff. Remember, we're thinking of our untap step at the beginning of combat. So this kind of is nice because then you use Urtet's ability more than once. Glare, untap creatures you control, or tap an untap creature you control, tap down an artifact or a creature. So tap down all your stuff. Tap down their stuff so you can attack through. Boop. Now you can get through. I'd almost put this as evasion in a way because that's what you're using. Opposition's doing the same thing. Tap an untap creature you control. Tap an artifact, creature, or land. 1,000-year elixir. Untap your Urtet. You can play their abilities as though they have haste. And then untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. That's brutal because you're playing with a lot of your mana Myr stuff. So, all right. Woo! That was a lot, guys. A lot. We got an hour and a half into there. Let me check those. I'm going to really quick before we kind of cut the video. I want to find the untapped planeswalkers just to kind of get an idea because those are the only ones I didn't really put in a spot. They were just in the planeswalker spot. So let's find our planeswalkers. Did I already pass them? I think I did. Yes, I did. So again, I'll probably do, if I can't get to again this weekend with stuff, next week definitely I will be doing the finishing touch on this deck. So this we will add in. Where's our tap untap stuff? So that'll go there. We'll kind of go through. So Ajani, nope. No. No. Where there's our untap. Saheeli. It's just making spells easier. Tap. Here we go. Wait. Nope. That wouldn't be it. Tap. I guess it could. No, because the ability of what we're trying to do down there is a little bit different. Put that. Where I thought we had a lot more. Oh, here we go. So here's one for our untap. See, the more that these planeswalkers hit more of those categories, the better. It makes them more usable because they hit a lot of different things. And that's why I think planeswalkers, I love the idea of planeswalkers. They just almost seem like they get killed too easily. And that's why this kind of sparked it in my head. Like, hey, these Myr, they untap. So I can use their abilities and tap them from mana and bring these planeswalkers out. And then they untap. And now I have blockers to, and not wimpy blockers. If I'm using Urtet's ability, I can pump them up so I actually have kind of some threats there. And with the protection spells, and that's why I'm going to be a little bit more heavy on the protection spells, is because people are still going to try to get through to get to the planeswalkers. They want them dead before they do their ultimate. So if I have protection spells, give them indestructible, I'm sitting pretty and wiping out stuff. Okay. Choose up to one target artifact, target creature. Okay, there's a tap one. Let's see our Tezzeret. There's another one. This Tezzeret, no. No. There's another. Yeah, see, we have quite a few planeswalkers that had the untap ability. I think we're just going to get rid of this. Because it's -3 is just the only thing I was looking at. Where's my removal? I do have Teferi's Protection in there. Yep, I did have that in there. Removal. What do I want for spots? Spot removal, 7 to 15. I think we could probably get rid of this Vraska because -3. It's +1 is terrible. It's -7 is kind of terrible. I mean, they lose the game, but 3/1/1 black tokens. It's just going to go to sideboard. Okay, so removal, we have 11, and we want to be at 7 to 15. So this might stay where we're at with our removal stuff, because we got a lot in there. But now let's go look at see what our untap stuff is. So now we have 10 different things that are doing that. So you have a planeswalker out, you have another planeswalker out. Use this ability, use Urtet. You know, if I have enough mana and all that stuff, I'm doing Urtet's ability multiple times. That's the on paper of how I want everything to work. We'll see if it actually works out that way. We got down to 205, so we cut. And remember, I don't normally do cuts when I'm going through the deck itself. Like right here, when I'm kind of going the overview. This is more to show you the direction that I was going with it. Give you ideas if you are wanting to build an Urtet deck. This especially because the original idea was just the, you know, this is what all Urtet decks are. You know, like get your mirrors out, cast as many as you can, get them counters and blah, 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 blah. So that's going to make this a little more difficult for me to do this. I can see things like there's way too much draw. I mean, 12 to 18, I'm at 32. You know, we're going to utilize the planeswalkers as a lot of our draw in here, so there's gonna be a lot of this to go away. Like Toski, I'm right there. I'm gonna get rid of Toski. I'm gonna try to just get down to 200. Where was another one? I didn't like how this was doing things. I don't like how Path to Discovery was doing things here. Whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. I like it's 5, but I still like this. It does create its own tokens. So I do like that there. Rishkar's Expertise. I think that's just a little too clunky for what I'm doing here. We're going to get rid of that. Let's get rid of one more to get us down to an even 100 cards. Don't know if we need to necessarily hit up to draw. The token doublers are probably going to be hit because there's so many. I mean, look at this. We got, of the main guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would say a doubler. I think we're getting rid of that one right now. There we go. 13. We had 14. We had 14 token kind of doublers of things. All right. 200. We got it. Got it down to 200. One thing I did forget to do on the cast, so I'm going to do it right now, was I did not draw for this week's Stumper. We keep forgetting to do that right after Stump the Smith Savant. So I'm going to draw the name now, just so we have it ready for the podcast this week. I don't know when I will be doing this deck. If I don't do it again this weekend, which probably not, we have a lot going on. If I have time, I'll give a big warning on Twitter or on Discord if you're part of that. Jace Raider is going to be our Stumper for this week. Okay, so if I don't, I will let you guys know. I'll try to give you a heads up warning. It's not going to be a last minute warning. I'll probably give a half day notice warning, but for sure next week, most likely if I do it next week, it will be on Wednesday and it'd be a 9:30 start time. So thank you guys for joining, all you guys on chat. I appreciate it. It makes the time go a lot faster, especially with the questions and the help. You know, I think next week or the next time I hit this deck up, I do need your guys' suggestions. The cuts are the part that I have the biggest trouble with. I know Lowry does a very good job of being able to just be like, boop, 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 this is gone. But getting your guys' opinions on stuff, it just makes things a lot easier. How come I don't pick your name? I'm sorry. Well, I'd like to, because then we just an automatic win for us on Stump the Smith. Just kidding. But I appreciate you guys being there, especially when I'm starting to do the cuts the next time. I'm going to need your guys' help getting rid of some of the cards that I need other opinions. I need outside lookers on what they think. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys, if not this week, next Monday. You guys have a good weekend. We'll see you. Bye. Strike up.